Welcome back to Anti-Harassment Training. In this presentation, we will cover who is a victim, what is harassment, and what can you do about it. Let's start off by talking about what is a victim. Harassment is based on the victim's perception and is conduct that is unwelcome, harmful, or illegal. Unwelcome conduct can include sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature, displays of sexually explicit or suggestive material. What is welcome behavior can change to unwelcome behavior. Harmful conduct is conduct that can harm either the physical or emotional health of a victim or of witnesses to the conduct. Anyone can be harassed. Harassment affects everyone. Direct targets of sexual harassment include individuals who are constantly subjected to a coworker's sexual advances. Bystanders and witnesses may also be considered sexual harassment victims. It depends on the specifics of the case. In other words, if you witness acts of harassment against a coworker, you may be considered to be affected by the harassment and may be protected under the law. Harassment negatively affects the atmosphere of the workplace. The last thing to remember is that all forms of harassment are illegal and will not be tolerated at ONS. Let's discuss the types of harassment. There are three main types: quid pro quo, hostile work environment, and retaliation. Over the next few slides, we will take an in-depth look at the various types of harassment. If you are a supervisor, it is important to understand that it is your responsibility to immediately address any inappropriate behavior. HR should always be notified of any complaints or other discriminatory behavior. This is because ONS can be held responsible for acts of supervisors or for their failure to take action. ONS is liable for harassment when we knew or should have known about the harassment and we failed to take appropriate remedial action. One of the main forms of harassment is called quid pro quo. It means this for that. It is a tangible employment action that results in monetary loss or significant change in someone's workload or assignment should he or she refuse a sexual advance. Tangible employment actions include being passed over for promotion or raise, being given less desirable assignments for refusing the sexual advances. The workplace is automatically liable only if the threat of job detriment or the promise of job benefits results in an employment action such as termination, promotion, demotion, or reassignment to a different position. Hostile work environment is the other main form of sexual harassment. The key to a hostile work environment claim is whether the conduct is welcome or unwelcome. Unwelcome conduct can include sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature, and displays of sexually explicit or suggestive material. The conduct must also be harmful. This means it harms the physical or emotional health of the victim or of witnesses to the conduct. This means the offensive conduct might be aimed specifically at a certain person, or it might be more generalized throughout the entire workplace. This kind of regular and repeated conduct can include items displayed in the workplace that unreasonably interfere with job performance or that create an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. All these behaviors can negatively affect the atmosphere of the workplace. As we just discussed, a hostile work environment can occur because of verbal, nonverbal, or physical acts. Let's take a look at a few examples. Here are a few examples of harassing behavior: references to sex acts, comments on body, asking about sexual fantasies, telling inappropriate jokes, inviting employees to engage in sex acts, spreading vulgar or slanderous rumors or lies, whistling, lip smacking, or making animal sounds, use of gender-related words or sexist comments, racial epithets, and derogatory comments about an employee's age. Here are some examples of nonverbal harassment: depictions of semi-nude persons, graffiti, forwarding inappropriate emails or videos, licking lips, blowing kisses, staring at an employee's body, looking a person up and down, racial intimidation, racial ethnic stereotyping, unnecessary oversight, and making the job more difficult for an employee. Examples of physical conduct that can create a hostile work environment include putting an arm around someone, touching another person's clothing or hair, tickling, hugging or kissing, brushing up against an employee, placing things down an employee's shirt, exposing body parts, or touching oneself sexually, physical assault, and ethnic intimidation. The last cause of action we will look at is retaliation. Retaliation is defined as any act or action that would dissuade a reasonable person from or penalize a person for bringing forward a charge of discrimination or harassment. It is illegal to fire, demote, harass, or otherwise retaliate against someone because they filed a charge of discrimination, because they complained to their employer about discrimination, or because they participated in an employment discrimination proceeding, such as an investigation or a lawsuit. The law forbids retaliation when it comes to any aspect of employment. This includes hiring, firing, pay, job assignments, promotions, layoffs, training, benefits, and any other term or condition of employment. Also, keep in mind that it is illegal for an employer to refuse to promote an employee because he or she filed a charge of discrimination, even if it is later determined that no discrimination occurred. It is important to understand who is protected from retaliation. Anyone who reports harassment, discrimination, violations of policy, or who are witness to the alleged harassment and participate in the investigation process are protected. Employees who protest or complain on behalf of themselves or others are protected. And finally, employees who file complaints with local, state, or federal administrative agencies alleging harassment or discrimination are protected. This means an employee can be protected under retaliation even if they haven't filed their own charge of harassment. If an employee participates in the investigation process for another employee, they are protected. Since we know what retaliation is, let's take a look at a few examples. Giving someone a bad reference because of their participation in an investigation is retaliation. Threatening someone by saying "or else" is also considered retaliation. Reassignment and assigning less desirable work are also forms of retaliation. O&S may be liable for an employee or manager's harassment. O&S would automatically be liable for a supervisor's tangible employment action under a charge of quid pro quo, this for that. Just as a reminder, a tangible employment action includes a significant change in status, firing, demotion, undesirable reassignments, and changes to compensation and benefits. If no tangible employment action is taken against the employee by their supervisor, O&S would probably not be held liable if we can show that we made a reasonable effort to prevent and immediately correct the workplace harassment. O&S may be liable for harassment if we knew or should have known of the harassment and failed to take action. In this type of situation, we may be liable for the bad behavior of coworkers, customers, clients, independent contractors, members, and vendors if an employee complains of the inappropriate conduct and nothing is done to fix the situation. Now that we know what harassment is, let's talk about what to do if you feel that you have been the recipient of unwanted behavior. The first step is to tell the harasser that the conduct is unwanted. Then, describe how you want to be treated. If you continue to have problems, please come and see HR or talk to your supervisor so that we can help. In summary, here are a few last thoughts. As an organization, we prohibit all forms of harassment. Please treat people as you would like to be treated. Use common sense, and when questions arise, contact HR.